I find that for you, Rob, you complain all the time.
I didn't sign up for this podcast just to be read.
Well,
like the mental health director of the NHS and all came out and just said this stuff is breeding addictions to gambling into like kids and vulnerable adults.
Is Gary a vulnerable adult?
Yeah, we're just having this moment of going, oh no, Gary. Oh.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're able to argue from the position of someone that the system has broken.
Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome and thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Video Game Chat Podcast, a fortnightly podcast talking about games, tech, and other nerdy goodness. I'm Geordie, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
I'm Rob.
I'm Gary.
I'm Brendan.
We hope you enjoy this podcast, and please follow us on Twitter at VGC_podcast, and feel free to tweet us with topic recommendations or questions you have for us to answer on the podcast. So guys, how have we been doing since last episode?
Oh, not too bad, really. I've been in 2 weeks of actual quarantine, not just isolation, so that's been a strain, not being able to even go out for a walk. What about you guys?
I've not been able to go out for a walk for 3 weeks.
I've barely left the house in a month.
So nothing new.
Yeah.
I've been working from home and trying to get out of the flat every single day for a walk, because if I don't, I will go postal.
Well, now we know what Rob's probably going through.
And breathe.
Yeah, it's been an interesting month, hasn't it?
So we played any new games? Have we gotten into anything video game related in the last week since recording?
Oh, new games, not really. There's not been a lot coming out, has there? And again, I'm still waiting on my VR headset, so I can't really jump in on any of the old VR conversation from last week. Yeah, Ripperoni. We're now down to 3 to 5 weeks, though. So, I mean, gotta say,
good.
yeah, not gonna lie, April has gone so much faster than March. Like, what's the deal with that? March felt like it lasted a year. April, we're already halfway through.
You saw your index was like 8 to 10 weeks, and you've just slowly seen it go down, and that's why it's going quicker.
You've just sort of gone into a kind of hibernation state.
I think I might have done, to be honest. I've slept a lot.
A lot of sleeping, a lot of eating, and a lot of pooing.
Yeah. No, okay. Odd detail to focus on there. But yeah, new games coming out. There is going to be the new XCOM that was announced like today.
Oh, yes.
XCOM, what's it? XCOM Chimera Squad, which is sort of like not a standalone game that's a semi-sequel to XCOM 2. It's set 5 years after the ending of XCOM 2, where humanity's overthrown Advent, and now the aliens are also living amongst... Yeah. But, you know, the spoilers are the premise for this new game, Gary, so you can't really not mention it. So now the aliens are living amongst us in an uneasy truce, and we've got a city, I think it's City 37 or something it's called, not ringing any bells to any other franchise right there.
No, definitely not. Welcome to City 37.
That's supposed to be the utopian ideal that we're now all trying to live towards, where humans and aliens are living together. But it also seems to be based on XCOM Apocalypse, one of the old ones, like the last one of the old original XCOMs, which was set again in one big city, and you were up against essentially terrorists who were trying to... I can't remember the exact plot of it, but you were up against a faction of essentially terrorists in the city who were trying to plan something that was going to throw everything out of whack as mankind and alien were living together in peace. So we were expecting... Well, okay, if you do want spoilers, Gary, for XCOM 2, there was a little post-credits thing that was very much setting it up for the next one, XCOM 3, the full XCOM 3, rather than Chimera Squad, is going to be based on Terror from the Deep, one of the old ones that was impossibly difficult and really pissed off a lot of people at the time because it added so much extra horrible things to the franchise. As there was an entirely separate alien race under the sea that suddenly emerged and attacked everybody after the main shenanigans of the original XCOMs. So yeah, funsies.
And when's that due to be released?
It's out on the 24th, but that's going to be... When's the podcast out? The 28th? No, the podcast's going to be out on the 21st, so it's just in the nick of time before Chimera Squad, but I'll be playing the shit out of that.
Very cool.
And you can find that on Rob's channel, I imagine.
Yes, Rob Coxey on the YouTubes.
Leave it till the end.
Shameless
Let me have my moment.
What about you two? Have you two been playing any new games recently, or still same old?
Gary?
Thanks. I've as all of us have, I've picked up Tailspire. When it was released on, as of recording, it was last Friday. Me, Brendan, and Rob jumped onto kind of like a collaborative kind of group where we could kind of build everything at the same time, which was pretty cool. It's obviously early alpha or beta.
If you're being technical, it's like an alpha.
Yeah.
It is obviously early access. It feels early access. However, I can see so much potential with it. I've been playing that quite a lot recently because I discussed this with Rob very slightly, but guys, I was thinking of making a very small campaign that we could all maybe trial.
Yeah, just to get to grips with the building and the GM tools and things.
Exactly. I've never GM'd before, so it could be a complete disaster, but I've built a little village for us, and I'm going to continue expanding that. I'm trying to think of a story off the top of my head for it, but I will have something in place, hopefully, within the month.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing sorry, Geordie, you go first.
Well, yeah, if we've got any listeners who are budding D&D DMs or GMs and want to put forward to maybe running a campaign for us in the future, then just hit us up on Twitter at @BGC_podcast. And we are looking for someone to obviously use Tailspire to run like a little D&D campaign, which would be nice for all of us.
And for those of you who are listening who are interested in GM DMing and are unaware of Tailspire, check it out. It looks really cool. It is really fun to use, but it's quite complicated. But once you've got your head around it, it's quite a useful tool to kind of make your own environments where it's like a physical version of what is otherwise in your imagination, if that makes sense. It's pretty well done.
It's 3D Roll20. It looks gorgeous aesthetically.
That's a better way of describing it. But yeah, I've been playing that, so hopefully it goes all right. I'm sure we'll cover that if it doesn't.
Any new games or anything new in the world of VR you've tried out recently?
No.
Me or Brendan?
The two that have VR headsets.
Rub it in, Jordan.
The two games I've been playing a lot of recently have been the newly released non-VR game, which is Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, which is the sequel to the very much beloved game Mountain Blade Warband. And it's superb. It's early access at the moment, so it's full of all the bugs that have sort of, if anyone has ever played Warband before, they'd be well used to the bugs because it's just kind of a buggy game that gets modded to perfection. But it's got basically all the improvements that people wanted from the previous game and some lovely early access bugs to itself that people can cherish.
Yeah.
For instance,
I've heard that the latest update has made everybody dummy thick.
Oh, yeah. There was a body shape shifter thing, and whatever they did, it applied like randomly across troops. So people were finding out that their army of fit young men that had been involved in various battles throughout a campaign have now turned into 30 stone men who could probably offer a fairly robust tackling effort against the enemy, in fairness. I'm kind of wondering whether they are intending to make that affect their stats, because I think that could be an interesting approach. But I'd
definitely have an army full of massive men just to like. There'd be big boys that are just like storm the battlefield, but in very small, sprint bursts.
Yeah, it's absolute units.
Dangerous over short distances.
But the one I really enjoyed is part of an element of the gameplay, which has always been a core aspect of the game, is there's like a deeper diplomacy. So whilst you can recruit an army and fight people on the battlefield and so on, you can also earn favour in the courts of castles, marry into rich families and things like that, and try to subvert through that way. And quite quickly into the game's release, someone recognised that obviously this has not been fully fleshed out just yet, when they had spoken to someone in one of the keeps of the castle, and the text box just said, "This is a generic backstory." So there's still a bit of filling in that needs done there, but I've really been enjoying it. It's just everything that Warband was, except with improved combat, improved graphics. It's all just very good, and definitely worth checking out if you're into sort of RPG strategy games.
As somebody that's not actually played the original Bannerlord, well, was it Bannerlord?
It's Warband's the original.
Warband was the original. Okay, as somebody that's never played that, is a bit shit at massive RTS, as I've complained about in our pilot episode. Would you recommend it?
I'd say
like,
yes.
I quite like I love RPGs. I love like medieval combat and shit. Me and Gary got into Mordhau for a while.
Yeah.
Like, we need to pick that back up again. But would you recommend it if you?
Yeah, like I would say that Mountain Blade's strength comes in the fact that it's very open-ended. Like there was actually a bit of anger when Bannerlord released because they put in an optional quest campaign you can do, which introduces you to the core mechanics of the game. And the fact that that was even there as an optional thing had all these like old school players going like, "What the fuck? They're making it casual now. They're putting in structure. How dare they?"
Teaching people how to play the game.
But like the single player. The only strategy that you really need to get involved in if you're not really into your strategy is just recruiting troops, and that's just going to towns and being like, "I've got money, join my army, job done." When you're on the battlefield, you fight with your sword and shield or your spear, your pole arm, whatever bloody weapon you want to use. And beyond that, there's arena fights in the major cities. There are custom battles that you can set up outside of the campaign, so you can just set up whatever faction you want, the style of fight. They can be sieges, they can be basic ground battles, and there's a multiplayer version of that as well. And the multiplayer's hectic. The sieges are insane.
All right. Have you given multiplayer much of the go, or?
Yeah, I've given it a few goes, but it's just sort of I quite like the single player campaign, and I kind of wait until the multiplayer has sort of built up a bit so that you've got a lot more people playing. And I've been on a few matches where it has been a full lobby, and it like I started on the attacking side of Siege, and this thing works in the way where like people can be archers, people can be like pikemen and things like that, and we were just pushing up towards the front gate of this castle, and it was just an endless hail of arrows. These arrows are slamming into the ground. They're killing people. Like the archers on it at the moment are very powerful. They can kill people very quickly, and it is just it's like that scene from 300, you know, the arrows will blot out the sun. So it's intense. It is very intense.
Oh, brilliant.
But the VR game was Pavlov VR, which I mentioned that before on our last episode.
Oh yeah, you said you were trying to play dead, I think, in the group chat as well, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it worked. But I haven't been doing the team death matches all that much until now, and I feel like I'm doing quite well. Like I've been surprised of how well I've been able to move into it, figuring that other people would be like veterans of playing it. But there was a particular map in which I discovered that if I sort of sat at the side where another dead body already was, and I just sort of like lay down on my living room floor, and it obviously convincingly looked like I was a corpse. So I just sat there for a while and mowed down anybody who happened to be running by.
Nice. Good tactic.
Beyond VR tactics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the only new game I've been playing is been the new first-person competitive shooter released by Riot called Valorant, which I waited 3 days for a key whilst watching streams on Twitch.
You went through blood, sweat, and tears for that key.
I did. I left my PC running overnight, and luckily enough, like people that I was watching started hosting other people who were watching or who were playing and dropping beta keys for it. It wasn't until the third day I checked my emails and realised that I'd missed a notification to say that I got the game a day earlier. So I'd watched it for 3 whole days when really I could have just been watching it for 2. Anyway,
you supported them regardless.
Yeah, all the watching of the streams was worthwhile. I've been playing the game I've probably put a couple of hours into it now, 3 or 4 hours. It's very good. It's Counter-Strike sort of mixed with the sort of Overwatch, sort of League of Legends characters with like abilities and stuff like that. So you have but the abilities you buy are like grenades in Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So you get a buy menu where you have money, but you occur after every round and stuff like that. And then basically you buy your loadout. You choose whether the character I've been playing is Phoenix, which is like the British character in it, and his ability he's like a fire guy, so he throws like a Molotov, but the Molotov that you throw also heals you as well. Your own fire heals you as a character. So if you lose some health, you can whack your Molotov on the floor and it will heal you back up to full health, or you can throw it at someone else and then it'll take their life off from them, basically. Cool. I've been playing him for a few rounds. His ultimate is something where he goes into this Phoenix form where he like turns into fire, and you can basically run out, be as loud as you can, and run onto a bomb site and try and take out as many people or gather intelligence where the other team are. And then once your timer runs out, you go back to where you started off that ultimate. So it's quite a sort of situational based game where the abilities sort of fit how you're playing. There are healer classes. There are some classes that have like smoke and flashbangs as their sort of utility. But yeah, it's a really cool. I can see how it'll get very competitive, and how like a ranking system like CSGO will sort of make it better over time. But as like a sort of a early beta for a game that Riot haven't really dipped their toes into before, I feel like it will definitely sort of be like I wouldn't say a CSGO killer, but a lot of people will jump over from CSGO and start playing this instead. And I can imagine some people from Overwatch would potentially come over as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it's a very fun game, and if you guys do get a chance when it becomes like a free beta to try and play it, I'd recommend giving it a go. It's I assume it will be like a similar thing to CSGO, where it'll be a free to play, because they've already got a system in place like League of Legends where you buy skins for the characters rather than paying for the game. I assume it'll be a case of they'll have like a battle pass or like a pay for skins. Basically, you pay for a currency where you can unlock different skins for your guns or your knife or your character skins and stuff like that, like League of Legends, basically.
Funny that a lot of AAA titles nowadays are being released for free, which is awesome. I love that they are released for free, but immediately, like at the very offset, have things that you can buy in game to offset the fact that it's free.
That's entirely the business model. Like, that's the point.
No, of course.
That's something we can get into in like another episode, or potentially later on in this episode, where sort of free to play and in sort of game purchases where it's pay to skin rather than pay to win.
Yeah, is
like a viable option, because some people will go, because the game's free, people will go, oh well, I know a few friends who play certain games, and they go, oh, because the game was free, I don't mind spending a little bit of money and buying a battle pass or buying a few skins or like case drops or whatever.
Yep, that's been Gary's approach to Rocket League and Hunt. As Rocket League and Hunt, we picked up when it was super early access and it was cheap as shit. Rocket League we picked up on a sale for like, I think I got it for like £7 or something.
Yeah,
and
I got it for £7.
I think Gary got it. Yeah, and we've put so many hours into those games that you're kind of like, okay, well, what's spending a few quid on the odd skin or whatever for it, just as an extra bit of support, as like a thank you. That's how much I would be spending on like a season pass for something else anyway. Here's a tenner. for another year's worth of free content updates. Go for it. Have fun. I don't mind that.
I understand stuff like that, but when you get like original edited Star Wars Battlefront 2, when you had to pay for the drops to be able to get like Darth Vader and stuff like that back in when it first came out, I think that sort of shit was not on.
No, that's not on. But I think that is a very, very particular case. Like that is
that was pretty much the big one.
Loot boxes, weren't they?
Yeah,
loot boxes are nothing more than scratch cards, and they're gambling. That's the end of that.
They are gambling, yeah. But then I feel like there should be an option to do the gambling. If it's an 18 plus game, then only people who are playing 18, who are 18, should technically be playing it. So technically, gambling is legal. But obviously,
but a lot of those games aren't aimed at 18-year-olds, are they? They've got a very big draw for 13, 14-year-olds who are watching their favorite streamers and stuff on Twitch and things playing.
You can be cute about it, but the reality is kids are playing it.
That's the problem. The problem is the kids are playing the game, so you can't police it. And if kids are playing it, then you just take it out.
That's not really the problem, because they know that, Gary. That's why it's been set up. The problem is that you can't really enforce any of these rules or pretend that the world's going to be this perfect. If it's an 18 game, only 18-year-olds and up are going to be playing it, because kids always are. That's the thing.
Yeah, true. But
they know exactly what they're doing.
If the balance
and that's why it's predatory.
If the balance here is choosing between not engaging in predatory gambling transactions within your game, so that people who are vulnerable to that, they don't even need to be kids. They could be people who are just vulnerable to gambling, aren't ripped off and scammed. And you're balancing that choice against, but I want people with money who can do that sort of thing in balance and mediation to have the chance to put a bit of money in and get some skins in a video game. I'm going to choose the first choice every time, protect those people more than the people that just want the skin from a box.
True. But then the problem with that comes down to so there is an element of gambling that is fun. That gambling is fun, otherwise people wouldn't do it. So loot boxes are fun when you realize that if you have full complete control over gambling, and I know that a lot of people don't, and that's the problem when it comes to putting loot boxes in, especially when it comes to targeting children or targeting those who are more disposed to gambling. But those who aren't, or just like, for example, on Rocket League, when there was the option to buy keys to unlock loot boxes, it was quite fun to see what came out of it, not knowing what you were going to get. It is gambling, but it was fun.
But again, that is also a game that's pretty much aimed at kids as well, very accessible to kids. And the whole loot box process is shiny, fun colors. Everybody's determined to have the best thing, especially when you're kids, and you get to shout and show off to your mates and things I got a super epic rare blah, blah, blah. That was the point. And following the whole loot box controversy thing, they've changed how they do it, where you now just get the blueprints and you know exactly what you're getting, and then you can pay to then have that if you wanted to with credits or whatever, which is a much better way of doing it.
Yes, it is a better way of doing it generally.
I know it takes the fun out of the reveal for you, Gary, but
it does.
At least,
so it takes the fun out of it. But
you can put the money in for something that you want rather than just gamble.
That's the other problem. The second problem is because they can no longer just rinse money out of people because it was gambling and you never knew what you were going to get, so you're more likely to buy the same crate over and over again until you get it. Now you can just buy that one thing. So that one item is now 5 times the price as to what it used to be in a box. So
potentially.
We've
depends
already
how many keys you had to buy to get that.
Yeah, but the base price was already 1 key at the very lowest, right? So
but that's never going to be the case. That's what I'm saying.
Left up
no, of course not.
Chance.
Of course not. But they've upped the price across the board to compensate for that. It's no longer the price of 1 key. So
that's true.
Although gambling is bad, I don't want loot boxes in the games. It has ruined so many people's lives. I miss that kind of reveal of not knowing what it is I'm getting. Maybe I like a little bit of gambling. Who knows? I never really gamble.
I think that's pretty much what you need to take out of this. You actually really enjoy gambling.
Maybe it's that, but I never gamble.
I just want that dopamine kick.
I don't gamble in real life, but when you get the little key and you see like something awesome,
you get that little flood of serotonin.
Yeah,
and you're like,
It's like when we were at the bowling alley and you decided that you just wanted me to try and win back more money on the slot machines.
Oh God, guys, are we going to reveal that I'm a fucking addict?
Enabler and an addict.
Yeah, like to put it into context, like the whole reason like the EU legislated against this was because like the head of the EU's gambling commission, like the mental health director of the NHS and all came out and just said this stuff is either attacking already existing addictions or breeding addictions to gambling into like kids and vulnerable adults. And I think we're literally just having this. Yeah, we're just having this moment of going, oh no, Gary.
Oh no, Gary.
They got
Slow
you.
realization. We just gotta. Oh God, wait.
Well, this is a slow descent into my madness of isolation.
It's like, I appreciate it's bad. I just got to keep doing it. It just feels good.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're able to argue from the position of somebody that the system has broken. My
last
rather
word on
potentially pay 10 times the amount of keys. I like that. I like the rush.
Yeah, like taking it at your argument at face value there, if you're like, there is that sense of fun and there's like anticipation, that wee bit of thrill that you get from, you might get a really big prize from it. Like, I am more than happy accepting the fact that you will be robbed of that tiny joy in your life to protect God knows how many people from the toxic side of that.
Oh God, yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. My last word on it is I think it's good that they're not in the games. Probably because otherwise I would become addicted to it. But like, if I look at it from, like, take Rocket League for example. I like all the skins in there. I like the customization that you can do. It's pretty fun, but I don't feel the need to buy a blueprint. Whereas before, when it was a potential item that I could have got from this crate, then I just sunk like a fiver into it. So I don't know. For me, I lose the sense of, as EA would put it, pride and accomplishment in unlocking something. Yeah, that's the problem. I don't see the point of buying a skin anymore.
FIFA still get away with it every year.
FIFA gets away with it. They get away with it because they're owned by fucking FIFA, who swindle people out of money all the time anyway.
Is that ultimate team mode thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, like, I suppose FIFA would get away from that because if I remember correctly, the punishment that the EU at least implemented was there's criminal offences and like close to €1 million for a fine. I think it's like somewhere upwards around 800,000 was the one they were talking about, and I think FIFA could probably just take that in their stride. They're probably, it's like, when you're fining some guy that drives like a Ferrari for parking wrong, and he's like 60 quid, yeah, no problem.
That's going to go on your record.
I'll buy a new one.
Yeah.
Want to just buy more money?
Screw the rules. I have money.
Oh, lads. So let's get into
back to the core topic.
Yeah, let's get into the core topic of this week's episode. So, lads, buckle up, champions, because we're dropping into Salty Springs and getting the big dubs and the winner chicken dinners. Because today we are talking about Battle Royales. So,
yeah,
that's me.
We've all played a few Battle Royales in our times, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, had a very mixed history with them, to be honest. You sort of get into them and you go off them, and then a new one comes out and you're into that. And
yeah, well, they have been like swarming our games on the PC and on consoles for the last like 20 years. And it is mad how like it has evolved from what it was to what it has become now, with there being probably about 30 different Battle Royale games now on the market for anyone to like pick up and play. mostly for free as well.
Most of those have been in the past 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. But so just a little brief history lesson on Battle Royale after doing a little bit of research on the internet.
Professor Geordie.
I feel like we need to have a jingle for this.
Learning with Jordan.
Right,
History
okay.
with Jordan.
Are you ready, kids?
So, the gaming genre known as Battle Royale was made popular in 2010 after an Arma 2 mod based off the 2000s Japanese dystopian action thriller film based on the 1999 novel by Koshan Takami. The film shows a group of high school students that are forced to fight to the death by a Japanese totalitarian government. This gave us the basis for the game mode that has brought us many popular free-to-play games in this current generation of video games. So me and Brendan actually played the Arma 2 mod quite a bit back in the day of DayZ mod.
Yeah. Because at the time that was PlayerUnknown's Battle Royale, and that's before the standalone became Battleground.
Yeah, it started off with Survivor games and DayZ, and then was switched over through PlayerUnknown to full-on Arma 2 as like a full-on every Arma 2 asset thrown in as well.
Oh yeah,
which expanded it a fair bit.
Also known as Brendan Green, who
no relation,
started up Blue Hole Entertainment, also known as PUBG Corp, in 2010. Who now is the owner of PUBG, the one of the bigger Battle Royale games that you can get today.
And swimming in a pool full of money like Scrooge McDuck.
Like, I never understood about how swimming in a pool of money would be enjoyable.
Especially
if
when
you
it's
dived into
golden
that pool, you would break your bones.
Yeah,
you would be dead.
Kill you.
Battle Royale games from sort of 2000 or from 2010, 2012, then sort of sped forward in popularity after sort of the release of the Hunger Games books and film starring Jennifer Lawrence. And the main thing that was happening on YouTube and stuff during sort of 2010 to 2012 was Minecraft. Minecraft was all over the place. And many YouTubers, famous YouTubers, were like invited to play these survival games, which were the Hunger Games sort of placed into Minecraft. There were loads of these great big survival game maps made where like derelict sort of cities and sort of towns in the countryside and airports and stuff, all based on sort of the Arma sort of style of the game, where it was all based on those sort of maps. And yeah, just chests dotted around, and also with like a cornucopia in the middle where there was chests with like armor and swords and bows and sort of stuff, Minecrafty stuff. And then yeah, that just sort of took the game mode and then brought it out into the world in a new sort of light, basically. And then obviously Brendan Green, Blue Hole, PUBG Corp came out with PlayerUnknown's. We also had other games that sort of started off after the sort of PlayerUnknown's became popular, which was like H1Z1, King of Kill,
God.
The Culling, Ark Survival of the Fittest, stuff like that. They were all really early sort of Battle Royale games that came out, and it just exploded from there. And yeah, became a phenomenon.
Yeah, as I've mentioned to you guys, it's there's occasionally that one different one that just pops up that sort of jumps out from the crowd a bit, because it did get very crowded about 3 years ago, didn't it? With like your H1Z1s and things like that were very just obvious clones. And the Culling 2, which was announced, released for about a week, and then was swiftly removed from the store, had everybody refunded because it was a very obvious, like, made within a fortnight PUBG clone. They were just genuinely terrible, sort of completely the basics, completely ripping off one specific Battle Royale game. But then there's been other ones that have popped up, like your Apex Legends came out of nowhere, had like really cool movement and mechanics and things, and just flowed really well. stunning graphics, ran really well, which PUBG didn't even at the time after like a year and a half in an early access or whatever. And the culling, which came out absolutely ages ago, I think that was way before PUBG, and that was purely melee focused, really. There were a few guns and things, very rare, but it was mostly melee, and that's what sort of made that one stand out, because it was all very close combat sort of thing, as opposed to being sniped from across a map.
Yeah, and it was noise gun was the only gun, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which is the gun that made you like.
Yeah. There was a pistol, there was an Uzi, there was a shotgun and a rifle, but that was about it. And but that had a sort of zany Borderlands 2 announcer sort of thing going on as well, and it was all like a big game show, and it was daft and it was fun, and that stood out. But that was slowly just worked into complete nothing, as I've said before. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. Then obviously there was Apex, which obviously we've all been addicted to at one point. But then I got slowly just bored of it, just because it was the only thing that everybody was playing.
Apex is probably more similar to the culling than any of the other ones, just because it's based on a sort of a game show similar to how the culling is.
Yeah, in that regard, yeah, it's a game show within the Titanfall universe, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Which is a great universe to have it in.
Much less of a madcap, weird Borderlands style game show, but more of just a blood sport.
Well, the aesthetic is still very similar to Borderlands.
Yeah, in a way.
Apex has that almost cel-shaded, but not quite cel-shaded aesthetic, doesn't it? It's not super realistic, but it's got that kind of cartoony edge. Stylized, yeah. But I find that for you, Rob, you pick up a lot of Battle Royale games early on. And
play the shit out of them. And then move on.
But you complain very much towards the end. You complain all the time about the tick rate, or how janky it is, or the RNG specifically. And for people who don't know what
I didn't
RNG
sign up for this podcast just to be read.
Well, it's happening, boys.
Well, buckle up, fucko, because here I go.
For those of you who don't know what RNG is, it's random number generation, which is basically the main sort of feature.
It's just randomness. It's what you're going to find weapon and equipment wise. Like towards the end of when I'm actually playing any Battle Royale game, much like Brendan playing any survival game, what annoys me is running around for like the only 10 minutes of the match that I'll be in and just find like shields and, you know, med packs and things, but never a gun.
We should clarify that I only complain about that with DayZ, because there's other games like Rust and Ark that do that grand, although they don't really use the same system of randomized drop like that. But I feel that their distribution is infinitely better than DayZ, which just, I can't even get my head around what they're thinking of that. Random is truly the core of what they're going for.
There's definitely a case of when you just land somewhere on a Battle Royale and then you go, right, there's no guns here. There's literally all the ammo in the world, but no guns to be able to fight with. And then as soon as you run into somewhere...
You land next to one building that's got backpacks in it. The guy that landed next to you that walks into the next building has 6 guns and several grenades at this point and like tier 2 free armor and stuff, and you get dicked and you're like, fuck me, really?
Yeah, but I think the difference... I mean, the way I see that and the way I think you see that, Rob, is that you see that as a major inconvenience to your gaming, whereas for me, and I assume Jordy
is a major inconvenience.
You've spent 5 minutes in a lobby, like 10 minutes loading in. You play for 5 seconds and you're wrecked, and then you have to go back out and start again. That's why I don't like it, because I like when I'm in a mood to play something quick for like 20 minutes, I'd rather do something like Rocket League or Hunt and Carry, where we are just in and we can just fuck about.
I think Battle Royales as a genre, sort of, you need to expect to be dicked over in the first 5 minutes. That is a part of the game. I was playing Call of Duty Warzone the other day. Call of Duty Warzone. I
still haven't played that.
One of the new free-to-play Call of Duty Battle Royale games. Absolutely fantastic. Is a lot better than what the previous Call of Duty one was. I think it was called Blackout,
yeah.
The Black Ops one. I wasn't a fan of that. But this one, absolutely great. I love the one thing I love to do in this game is you jump out of the helicopter, the the plane as it's flying over the map. And as you're flying, you can see everyone else flying into where you're going to land. Yeah. It takes you quite a while to land as well. And you've got the ability to constantly like open your parachute and then cut it again, open your parachute and cut it again. And during those times where you cut your parachute and open it again, you've got a pistol that you start with because everyone starts with a pistol. So my favorite thing to do is before we even land is cutting my parachute and opening it again, getting my pistol out, firing 3 shots into the guy who's in front of me, parachuting as well, and taking off all of his armor before he's even reached the floor. And I've done this so many times while playing that game, and it is the funniest thing in the world when I manage to land and kill a guy with the pistol that you start off with without him even going into a building or even hitting the floor. He literally will hit the floor dead as I shoot him as I take out all his armor and knock him down. And that guy must get so mad like every time I do it. And I feel so happy about doing it. And I know I'm being a dick, but I love doing it.
There are,
two types of people.
Exactly. Yeah. It's two sides of a coin. Yeah. It's the person getting dicked on and the person who's having a really good game. So obviously Rob's had a lot of sides of being on the wrong side of the coin. And me and Gary are the ones on the side of the coin that we still think everything's fine and dandy still.
Mm. I think maybe if we're going to delve into the psyche of it, maybe it's the lack of control for you, Rob. Like if you had a pistol and the other person had a pistol, 9 times out of 10 you're going to kill him. I know you are because you're a good shot. But when you're pitted against someone,
the first compliment he has given me all podcast.
Right, it's going to be a shit sandwich. It's going to be a fucking shit.
I'm going to wrap that fucking shit far up. But if someone had a machine gun and you had a pistol, you're probably going to get dicked on. You might still it might be like a 50-50 for you, but you have a lesser chance. Now, if you spawn without a pistol, you're going to feel cheated because you didn't have any choice. You didn't have an option there. You couldn't have possibly fought back apart from punch him. And obviously you can't punch someone up against a weapon. So I think that might be for you why you find it like a shit game.
Oh, Gary, I will try. Yeah. I will try and punch someone to death if they've got a gun against me.
Oh, yeah, same.
I'm
perfectly happy to do that in certain times. It's just, as I've said, it's when you are in the mood for just, I want to play something quick, but everybody's playing Battle Royale. It's you, and you fall into that loop of just spawning, lobby, spawn, parachute, land, dicked, back to lobby, start again. Like, that's not fun for me. Whereas if I'm in the mood for a Battle Royale, fuck it, fine, I'll run over and try and beat somebody to death with a frying pan who's got a machine gun, because it's bands.
But you don't seem to be in the mood for Battle Royale.
No, I'm not in the mood for Battle Royale anymore. It sort of died on me. I think the last one that I was properly looking forward to was Firestorm with Battlefield 5, which had that. Yeah, just the shittiest UI that I have ever seen. Everything drops when you kill somebody into a clump. There's no spread. There's no pop and spread you've opened a crate on Borderlands and everything's nicely spread out so you can have a look at it. Or there's no nice UI for you to press tab, I want to see what's on the floor. I'll get this, that's fine. No, you had to look at everything and hold S. And if there was 2 things on top of each other, you had to pick up one thing first, and you'd occasionally drop your main weapon and pick up a flare gun or something daft like that. And then you get wrecked by somebody else while you're desperately trying to sort your own equipment out. And it was such a clunky pain.
The fact that the UI was always up, what the fuck? You don't need to know your inventory.
Yep.
What the fuck? For me, I started on my very first Battle Royale game was PUBG, and I loved that so much, but then I stopped playing it because Rob stopped
Everybody stopped playing it, really. Yeah.
I'd probably say that after playing probably an extensive amount of Battle Royale games, at the moment, Apex is very good, and I do like Apex. It's just the more futuristic-y guns, something that I enjoy in some points, but then also don't. They can be quite good and fun to play, different. But if you're playing Battle Royale with realistic guns, PlayerUnknown's used to be my favourite, and other things just took over its place. Call of Duty Warzone, the new Call of Duty. After playing the Call of Duty multiplayer, this is definitely my favourite battle royale now. Like, period.
I'll have to give it a go, mate, if you recommend
definitely,
it.
100%. They've got trios, they've got quads now. You can also play solo as well. Would recommend playing solo though, because solo is very difficult, and people basically, it's like the whole thing on Fortnite where like you can revive your teammates now, basically like you can on Apex. They've got a similar thing in Call of Duty where you collect money as you go and loot boxes in the Call of Duty game. You can just pay to get your teammates back if they die, or if you die the first time, you get sent to the Gulag, 40 years Gulag, and basically you fight in a 1v1 against someone else who's recently died, and then that one person will go back into the game, which also keeps the game sort of fresh and keeps it running, and also means people can get more kills. So it is like a heavy sort of, definitely a bit of a learning curve compared to sort of Apex.
Yeah, definitely.
It is a really good game. And you played it once, Gary?
Yeah, we played it, and I enjoyed it. I think it's very, very polished, but I was coming at it from after playing Apex, so it's very, very different, and I prefer the way Apex handles to Warzone, but I think I need to give Warzone more of a try, more time to kind of like get to grips with it, because I only played it like once, a couple of sessions, but in one day, and yeah, it's really hard. Very, very hard.
If you've got the general sort of gist of Call of Duty as a game, and you're used to playing Call of Duty games, then it's really easy to pick up. Case of knowing where things are and what things do, because not only is there like, right, you're in a world of 150 other people, there's also things like bounty contracts and recon contracts and these special items that you can do to find loot quicker and stuff like that. All stuff that sort of aids gameplay and gets you to do more objective things whilst not attempting to maybe sort of go for kills. You can sort of do like a recon challenge, which will tell you where the next circle is, stuff like that, or search for loot boxes and get more money to be able to, say, buy a friend back who's maybe died. You don't have to just go for kills. You can try and earn your way and earn XP to level yourself up, stuff like that. But those sort of get you further into the game.
Definitely try it out, like, all together.
So yeah, another thing we was going to talk about as well, with battle royales being a thing, we can't really talk about battle royales without mentioning Fortnite and how Fortnite was completely sort of
dominated the gaming industry, really.
Yeah. Twitch, Mixer, everything all went Fortnite. Obviously, you've got massive streamers, Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, Nick Merckx, all these sort of people who have made an absolute killing out of Fortnite. Now, sort of, it's just got a bit stale and a bit like sort of, they've not really done anything. Like, they had their whole like big events that they used to have after sort of like pre a map change or something like that. Now they've sort of, just a bit, I don't know. I never really got Fortnite in the sort of terms of the building aspect of things. Like I wasn't really well, we all know about the whole thing about me buying Fortnite before Fortnite was Fortnite.
Yeah, when it was going to be the day-night survive build.
Fortnite was sold to me as a survival sort of tower defense-based game, which Save the World is in the current game. But then they was like, right, we're going to do a Battle Royale beta mod for it, and they're going to make it free-to-play. I was like, okay, so one of the game modes for this game that I spent 50 quid on is now going to be free to play, and is now the most massive thing that you could ever think of. And the actual game that they developed and like sold to me for 50 quid is now being pushed to the side. And it's like, no one really cares about that side. I thought people care about the free one that everyone's playing. And I was just, a little bit salty about it, but
understandably so.
Yeah, but when that thing came out, it was like build a fort, set up traps, stop zombies from coming and attacking your base. I was like, cool. And you could do it with your friends, complete missions, earn weapons, stuff like that. It sounded great. Then the whole building thing, and that became a battle royale. And I was like, you get it? And you got all these people who are like massively quick at building stuff.
It's actually, I have no idea whether any of you guys have been exposed to it, but back in the day when Minecraft was sort of just kicking off and becoming quite a major thing, and before Battle Royales were really at the center of anything, there was a game called Ace of Spades that tried to sort of do what Minecraft was doing with block building voxel, and every character was like a blocky character, but you had guns. And the battle sort of took place in the sense of there were large team deathmatch maps with procedurally generated terrain, and either team would try, well, one team was sort of known for preferring building over attacking, so it turned into a sort of base attack and defend thing. And I feel like there's an element of that was considered for Fortnite. Like that feels like what they were going for there, where you can collaborate with your friends to build up defensive positions for you to defend while you're surviving the circle closing in, effectively.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all that, for me, that's all that Fortnite became. It became who could build the fastest rather than who was the more accurate at shooting. Because as long as you could build yourself into a box quicker than someone else could shoot down your box, then you were going to win. Like, as long as you were in the circle and able to sort of go with it. Like, I don't understand how you can get some... Like my little brother used to play Fortnite all the time, like a few months ago. And the way that you could just, on a controller as well, how quickly you could spin around and build a little box and like keep yourself knocked up in it. Like, it was baffling to me.
It's like, a good test of reflexes.
Like, that's where it makes me feel old, because I don't have the reflexes to be able to go, right, oh, if I hold an analog stick down this way and my sensitivity is at this, I can press these number of buttons in a certain order to build a completely encased box around me, and then I can heal up before anyone can actually try and shoot me.
I think that's the difference between why Fortnite was such a kid-friendly game compared to the others, was probably the building. Obviously, the style of it helped, but I'm exactly the same. I feel really old playing Fortnite because I can barely build one wall before some motherfuckers built a whole tower. So, you know, like I'm standing there trying to go, right, what? I press this button. Okay, I've got, okay. And then I look around me and I've just like, there's about 50 people surrounded me. And I'm like, okay, great.
I feel like I've always struggled with I played PlayerUnknown's Battle Royale back in the day with Jordan, as he said, and dabbled with a bit of the Minecraft stuff. And then, like, even when playing those, they were like side modes to me. So I was never really invested in playing them as a game. It was just kind of, okay, I'll give that a go. Yeah, that was all right. And then I'll move off and play something else. And like through Jordan, I've played H1Z1. I think we played The Culling. I've definitely played Fortnite. I played Apex with Jordan and Firestorm with you guys. And it's just kind of been like, I don't really care. I'm not invested in it at all. So there's guys on Fortnite that were like screaming and going crazy, and they're really putting the effort in and all the rest of it. And I was just like, this is all right. So I feel like maybe there is a split between those two, where you've got this like 8-year-old who is sculling cans of Red Bull and dragon soup, and he's built this entire series of Viet Cong tunnels to attack anyone coming near the circle. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of trundling my way in, just like, well, the circle's shrinking, so as long as I just run ahead of this, should be all right.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, finding that perfect battle royale game is always difficult, because everyone's subjective to what they like and what they don't like for each one. I know for very well that Rob didn't like the tick rate of PUBG.
Yeah,
you were very adamant that it was the tick rate.
Though that had a flexible tick rate. Like, think back to Battlefield 3. That game had, I think it was 30 hertz as a tick rate, which was all right, but then later improved in Battlefield 4 with 60 hertz, which is flawless. Love it. But PUBG, as a competitive skill, essentially down to a skill-based shooter, where, you know, every second counts. If somebody ducks behind a wall, you want to have that opportunity to brain them. that game had a flexible tick rate. I think it was 5 to 20 hertz, depending on the player count on the server. And that was shit. The amount of times you would you would be shot at, you'd run for cover, you'd duck into a building, and then you'd be headshot. Like, the door closes, and then you die. And you're like, because the server was just not lining up, and you would die to just complete bullshit. Yeah, there is still, like, that can happen with lag, with desync, which, that's going to happen. But when that's an actual part of your core server status, the actual design of the game, to just not really be where it needs to be for a competitive, like, shooter like that, where you kind of don't want players to feel robbed when they die. You want, fair enough, he had line of sight, shit, I was out in the open. That's understandable. Fuck, I managed to make it to cover, I'm okay, I'm dead now, what the fuck? That is a what the fuck death.
I think that's one of those things that needs to be fixed over time. Like, for Player Unknown Battleground, I can understand as sort of like them pushing out to create a game themselves from being a modder and things like that. You're going to be starting from a low resource base, but obviously that got huge. They got like a huge amount of money out of that, and at that point you can invest in the infrastructure to improve the hardware so that you can handle pushing up a tick rate. Because, like, if they're doing, was it 20 that PUBG used originally? Like, if you're using that, obviously you've got to balance that against the effect of raising the tick rate. But I reckon with the amount of money they made, it wasn't too much of an ask to say, like, your entire game is based on one gameplay mode, and it is all based around the performance of that gameplay mode. Maybe take a look at improving the netcode and upping the hardware just a wee bit so that it's at least a bit better. But they obviously just, probably to their own detriment, they didn't bother doing that. Whereas I think things like Fortnite, Epic, and what do you call the Chinese company that bought out the developers? Tencent put a lot of effort into prepping themselves for obviously setting it up as software as a service, but the hardware basis behind that and how they were going to do the netcode was everything, because they wanted to tie it into cloud gaming and make it accessible on every platform, and PUBG just didn't make that effort. And, fair play, maybe they just couldn't, maybe they didn't want to take the risk with the financials, but there you have it. You're going to get those complaints either way.
I think they did up the code, though, did they not?
Yeah, they did eventually.
You've got to take into account that when we played it, Rob, it was beta.
Yeah, I know. And I do still feel like I got my hours of enjoyment out of that. I mean, like, I think you got your money's worth out of it the first match you played, when me and you fucking went straight to a victory on a very nice little play. But, those moments were absolutely worth it, and they are what you want from a Battle Royale game. And as long as you've had a few of those and you've got your money's worth, I think, when you get bored of it, you can fuck off and, go find something else. Like, it's no skin off my ass. Like, I've had my time on it and I enjoyed what I played until I didn't. And then I'd rather just not have that experience completely ruined, and I just don't find that fun anymore. But in that game in particular, I don't enjoy it at this point. So I might come back to it another day, sort of thing, if they did another massive update or an overhaul or something, But for now, I'm done with it.
That's the gamble they all take. Like, realistically, that, like, as you know, Fortnite's getting stale. It'll happen. It'll happen with all the big game modes. At some point, the general gaming community and the market will just lose interest in what it's doing. It won't turn around enough revenue, and they'll need to look for a new thing.
Yep. Battle Royale is essentially like the 2010s zombie game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thing is, like, I think it's definitely here to stay. All of them stay. Yeah. I just think that it's
going to need tweaks, and it's going to need things that just do sort of break the mold a bit more, rather than conform to the genre, which is why, like, your H1Z1s failed, your Culling 2s failed, because they were literally clones of one specific game and didn't really do anything new with them.
I think.
Whereas,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, sorry.
Well, you cut me up originally, Rob. So
yeah, and sorry. Go on.
No, fine. You cut me up again.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, Gary, that, like, it's going to be the ones that are a battle royale but bring something new in, something interesting, that are going to be the ones that continue to perform. Like, obviously Apex came in with like the freedom of movement and stuff, rather than just being a bunch of regular dudes running around on the ground. You had like a lot of movement options. You could slide down hills and stuff, so you had very acrobatic movement, which made it feel a lot more fresh and a lot more new, and the combat was a lot more interesting because it wasn't just on a flat plane, it was quite vertical. You know, you could jump over people. Like, if you were Pathfinder, you could often like use that rope thing to like jump and swing right behind somebody in cover and just blast them in the back with a shotgun, that sort of thing. It opened up more movement and more gameplay opportunities. And why me and you quite like Hunt Showdown is because, again, it's got elements of Battle Royale in there, but it throws in, you know, horror, it throws in PvE, it throws in some really solid, very brutal DayZ/Tarkov/Armor style gunplay. And it feels fresh, while it's still, in a way, a Battle Royale game.
I wouldn't give it the term a Battle Royale game.
It's not a Battle Royale game, but it has elements of that genre in. And it's fresh. It's a fresh take on it. Yeah,
Battle Royale tagged in Steam as like, if you go to top selling Battle Royale games, Hunt is on one is like the top 10 games as Battle Royale.
Really?
Yes.
I take it from my understanding of what you
said, go
said.
into one map and kill each other.
Yeah, the map doesn't shrink or anything. It's just the one map, isn't it? Right, so like, if I remember correctly, back in the day, because I am an 80-year-old man now, apparently, that was just called an elimination game mode.
Yeah.
So it is effectively, obviously, like, that's an element of what Battle Royale is, but obviously, if it's dropped sort of the core mechanics, it's an elimination game mode.
If you wanted to take the play area shrinks argument about Hunt Showdown, play area in a way does shrink as you slowly work out where the boss guy is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're hunting down clues and that slowly shrinks down to like it's in this one spot. So all the players will end up congealing in one location anyway.
Congealing.
Or two locations, depending on the map.
I would say it's more a Battle Royale in the original sense of Battle Royale, like based off the books. Like the original book, the original film. And
every
then
man for themselves sort of thing, as opposed to
it's like either everyone for themselves or small teams against other teams, as opposed to like 50, 60, 100, area, 150 people on a map. It's like 10 people, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people in a location. It doesn't have to conform to that shrinking play area, with a danger zone on the outside sort of thing, which again is going to be one of the things I think that are going to end up like being tweaked to sort of change the format a bit by some of the games that are going to come along that are going to stand out next.
Yeah, talking about all the stuff about Battle Royale and how it came to be. When I was doing my research, they first described Battle Royale as a last man standing.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's last man standing. So you kill everyone until you're the last person standing. The first like last man standing game that on this particular like article that I was reading that someone sort of mentioned in the sort of term of Battle Royale was Bomberman. And Bomberman had a game mode where you were literally 8 people all playing split screen on one screen, and it'd be a case of you play that game until you're the last man standing. Essentially a Battle Royale. And basically the border shrinking is, if you remember in Bomberman, eventually when there became 2 people left and you weren't killing each other, the map would shrink. Just the blocks that made up the map would fall away until the very center of the map was just left, and there were 2 people on there fighting until they died. And that's how Battle Royale developed, sort of. I'm not saying it developed from Bomberman, but Bomberman Last Man Standing is the essence of what Battle Royale is in a nutshell. You're playing a game to be the last one, to be the last team, the last person out of 100, or whether it be 8 people or 100 people, doesn't matter. You're still playing that game to have that sort of achievement of beating everyone else who joined the server at that particular time.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you could almost say that a team deathmatch is kinda
No, because Team
Battle Royale.
Deathmatch you
No, because
respawn.
Team Deathmatch has respawns, Gary.
Well, if
Yeah,
you had a team
we're getting
deathmatch
into
with no
semantics now.
respawns and then multiple teams, but then I guess that's just what Battle
And
Royale
that
is.
would be a Battle Royale.
Then that's a last stand / Battle Royale / elimination.
Yeah, elimination. Yeah, that's what I would. Yeah, but yeah,
I think,
Hunt is sort of in that respect, it is a Battle Royale, and it's a very good one because, like you said,
it's a twist.
Yeah, it's a twist. It changes. Like, it doesn't have the ring, which I find somewhat arbitrary, but it is a core mechanic that, you know, it's just there. That's part of the Battle Royale, but the Hunt removes that, which is quite nice. And the main reason I like Hunt over the other ones is that it's a lot slower paced, which I think is probably the only, as far as I'm aware, slow paced Battle Royale
game. Yeah, everything else is rather arcadey and fast. You know, it's rush over here, loot, move on, rush, loot, move on. Enemy team, kill them fast. Right.
From what you guys have told me about Hunt seems it's more like a story-driven Battle Royale. Like there's actually like a lore and a story to it.
There's objectives to be doing within the map, essentially, and
I've muted
obviously
myself for
it's
this
also
part, Rob, but
like
this is now like the third episode that we are dedicating to talking
you don't
about
want to run around and make as much noise as possible because, you know, there'll be birds being startled, there'll be dogs, you know, barking at you that gives your position away and will just slowly drag people in towards you who are just like, there's an idiot over there making a ton of noise. Do you want to go fucking brain them?
So in that case, Hunt is very similar to Call of Duty Warzone, because Call of Duty Warzone has different objectives you could do whilst playing in the Battle Royale with the bounty tasks and the capture the objective tasks, where when you go to capture an objective, a flare gets lit up into the sky, letting everyone else know on the map where you are, where you're capturing an objective. So other people could be flocking towards your point whilst you're doing
that was another one of the additions that Firestorm added that was a really good idea. You know, there was the Zeppelin sort of point control things that you could capture those and you'd get a whole bunch of rare weapon canisters to open and stuff for your team, which would be, or a tank, you know. Yeah, you could open up the vaults that would have either like Panzers in, or it would have this fucking Sturm Tiger. And, you know, if you bothered going for those and making the noise, you know, you could have like a really good asset or a whole bunch of like fully maxed out weapons and then like an artillery call in or a fucking V1 if you were lucky enough. And they were all really cool additions. But again, the whole thing was let down by just the UI making that game so bloody unplayable that nobody wanted to bother. Like one of the seasons that came and went last year, they pushed a real heavy emphasis on a lot of them being Firestorm related. You know, it was like open up free vaults in Firestorm for this one storyline node to continue this week's challenge. And it would always be like the fucking first one as well. So it wasn't an optional one. It was one that you had to do. And I tried going through that. And I think one day I spent 40 minutes in a queue waiting for a Firestorm match to actually start because nobody was fucking playing it.
Yeah, I can imagine Firestorm has died out quite a bit.
Yeah, it's died a death. I don't even think they've updated the UI yet. They've made changes to the map. They've added new weapons and things, but I don't know whether the UI's changed. And that is the main failing of that. It wasn't an accessible, fun thing to play.
And the fire circle was very, very distracting.
I quite liked that. It was a, you know, as far as the circle goes, rather than just being an energy shield or something that hurt you for no goddamn reason, it was just a big fuck off wall of fire that would sweep through the map and destroy buildings and stuff. So you could camp the circle as often as you could, but like if you left it too long, the building you were in would collapse with you in it and things, which I quite liked. The destruction stuff was cool. It worked in a battle royale setting. It was unique, but again, just the way they handled it, it just didn't pan out.
Firestorm,
which is a shame.
Firestorm's like was sold to me on the fact of the storm was literally a ring of fire.
Yeah.
And, and the way that it just destroyed everything as it came in was probably the best thing about the battle royale. Like, it was aesthetically pleasing. It looked good. It was cool how it worked with like the destruction aspects of Battlefield. But all the games will have their own little quirks. Each battle royale has a different little quirk, a little thing that makes it different from the other one. Battlefields was fire in the firestorm, obviously.
Yeah, it was fire, it was vehicles, it was destruction.
Call of Duty's one isn't like a ring or a force field or anything like that. It's like tear gas, like the gas that you have in the Call of Duty game. Like it's a big green fog of gas that comes and takes you over. Eventually, if you're the last team alive, a helicopter comes, lifts you out, and takes you away from that island or area that the map's based in, basically. But it's something different. It's not a force field or a zone like all the other ones are.
It has a reason that it's there, tied into the actual game that it's based on.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel that, like, for me, Call of Duty Warzone has been one of the best ones to come out recently. It's probably one of the newest ones, but maybe that's just a reason why I like it more than the others at the moment. But yeah, definitely.
I think that ties into an earlier point about what comes next, because I think one of the interesting elements of this is if you think about how huge Fortnite is, and much like the Nazi zombies thing and kicking off zombie survival games and DayZ, obviously, and the huge rush of all the survival games that came out to try and be the successor to DayZ, I think when it comes to Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty Warzone, what's happening there is the big developers like Activision and EA are looking at the amount of money that like Epic has made from that, the fact that they were able to set up a software as a service platform like Steam, their combat Steam, to try and actually pose a threat to Valve. There's a serious amount of money behind that. So you're going to have developers going like, right, how can we turn our own version of this to try and unseat or dethrone Fortnite? And I'd be intrigued to see how many iterations of this we're going to get now. Because obviously we've had Firestorm, which has flopped. Like I can't think of many people that care that much about Firestorm. Warzone's out now and has developed a decent bit of hype around it. And it has closely enough modeled itself on Fortnite's core business approach. Like the idea is free to play from the offset, and you earn your in-game currency by doing your missions, or you buy the in-game currency, so you can buy skins, weapons, upgrades, things like that are all sort of generally cosmetic, but you're paying to unlock it to show off the fact you have it, which is a core aspect of Fortnite, which builds up a lot of the hype around it and keeps the money flowing. And I'm wondering, are we going to see that thing where they do sort of slight changes to the gimmicks, change things, you know, it could be a wall of fire, it could be gas, it could be a force field, it could be a lightning storm that's getting close. Is that going to be the gimmick? Or is there going to be another core gameplay mechanic which still retains that core business turn, where it's going to be free to play, but we're going to make sure there's loads of skins that people buy, which is sort of the key thing that keeps the money coming? Or do they drop that and look at another way to do that? That's the bit that I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah, where it goes next.
And with these games having battle passes and being free to play, I don't mind these, because if they're free to play games and you only pay for a battle pass, these are sort of games that are going to last for quite a while. Like they're always going to be played by people, and if they do ever die out, then they'll just make an update and have like the money that's been put towards it from skins and stuff, paying for them to then update it and make it new and make more people want to come and play it. That's how Fortnite has stayed so, I hate using the term, but relevant. Right? Fortnite has managed to stay relevant because of the amount of seasons it had, all the updates it has, all the like end of season events they put on, and Epic must have a cracking team of like developers and like testers to get all this working and running, because they've done a cracking job with like how much money people do sort of put into it, and like the amount of kids that actually just still play it today. Like, had a bit of a dip recently, but okay, that's because they've not really done anything new or sort of different in the last couple of updates, but still going. And like the competition for Battle Royale games is strong and is getting stronger. Like the newer games that are coming out now are a lot better.
Yeah.
They're completely wiping the floor with the original Battle Royale games. Like after playing Warzone and Apex and Fortnite, I couldn't even think about going back to PlayerUnknowns and playing that now. Like, I'll probably give it a go for nostalgic reasons, maybe, but I wouldn't like want
That's
to
about
be
it,
competitive in it, or I doubt it'd even get any much traction in the terms of views if you're saying uploading to YouTube or playing it on Twitch. Like, but hey ho, it's like it's a good game mode. People love it, and it's a nice casual gaming experience for most people. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for us then, I guess, for Battle Royales. Anyone got any other bits and pieces they want to say about Battle Royale before we finish?
Well, I'm interested to know what our listeners think of Battle Royale, and if they enjoy it, what's their favorite one? Well,
They're not on the call, Gary.
Yeah. Which ones have really like stood out to them in terms of not just playability and fun, but unique sort of additions to the genre, really?
Yeah, and obviously Rob and I are very much into Hunt, and as are yet not sponsored by Crytek, but it would be very nice if we were.
Yeah, honestly, I'm actually still quite
promote it.
disappointed that game isn't doing as well as it is. Because let's face it, it's very, very good.
Hold on, you want to be sponsored by Crytek now and not MeUndies?
Oh, what about MeUndies and Crytek?
Gary, we can't be sponsored by Crytek. They've got no money.
Yeah, true. Not after the lawsuit.
But before we round up the podcast, guys, what is your favourite Battle Royale memory, or like your favourite Battle Royale?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Call of Duty Warzone, definitely my favourite. Going for that.
I'm looking forward to playing that with you. I'm getting it installed. I'm getting Modern Warfare installed again now, just so I can play it. You've sold me on it. It does sound quite fun. I will happily pick that up and play it. My personal favourite Battle Royale definitely goes back to the Culling, which again, early days was absolutely solid. It was like Apex. It came out of nowhere. It was just picked up by a whole bunch of streamers and YouTubers and things, and just rocketed to success. And early days before they absolutely broke the game, it was hilariously good fun. And me, Darren, Johnny, a few of the other mates used to play it quite a lot. And me and Johnny occasionally had like some really good matches where we'd just wipe everybody off the map and have 2 of our own drops each, sort of thing. We'd buy one for ourselves, one of our own for the other guy, and the other guy would do the same. So we'd be running around with like compound bows and a chainsaw and things as well. So we had every range covered and we were unstoppable. And you were like, yes, when you succeed in that game, you felt good because you'd earned it. But yeah, like generally a lot of fun times tied into Battle Royales, like PUBG and things obviously brought a lot of people back together and things for gaming and stuff. And like Gary, you played with the high caliber lot that you hadn't really played with before either, and you know, we got many hours of fun out of it. So
yeah, I mean, I made loads of mates by playing PUBG, because that PUBG was when I actually first got back into PC gaming. I didn't have a PC before playing PUBG, really. So I got a PC, got PUBG, didn't really know anyone online, and then all of a sudden Rob introduced me to loads of guys in his chat, and I was like, holy shit, I actually play with loads of people now. Don't have to rely upon Rob.
Brendan?
I can't think of a single one. I'm sorry, I don't get Battle Royales. I don't care about them.
I'll think of one for you, because I remember when I had the Minecraft server and I hosted the Minecraft Hunger Games with me, you, and a few of our friends. I remember playing that, and that was always a good laugh.
I distinctly remember just tunneling deep under the ground and then waiting to attack people like some sort of strange mole man.
You do that on Minecraft anyway?
Yeah, that's how I get my kicks.
Brilliant. Well, that was an episode. So, thank you all for listening. If you want to drop us a little message on the Twitter with your guys' favourite Battle Royale game and ask us any questions, feel free to tweet us at VGC_podcast. And yeah, we're on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube's. Make sure you are all following and subscribing and all that jazz. Keeping up to date
and
with us.
Sharing with your buddies who like video game chat or listening to podcasts. Anyway, Geordie, where can we find you personally?
Well, At the moment, I've been streaming recently on my Twitch channel at www.twitch.tv/JeordieWiz. Where can we find you guys?
Nope. Okay. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/RobCoxey.
Got the www.rob. You won't be
Who
able
gives
to
a shit?
http://
Actually, Brendan, I think you'll find it's https://
You can have that security.
Safety first.
Security, yeah.
Okay.
You can also find me on YouTube if you just search Endash.
Is it the guy with the SpongeBob?
It's
I can
the guy
see
with
that
the
one right there.
SpongeBob. Yeah, it's that one. Please subscribe to that one. Definitely not the one with the big red N. That's totally me.
Cool, I'll subscribe to that guy right now.
No!
What about you, Brendan?
You can find me when and only when you find yourself.
Ooh, that was an inner piece.
Mysterious. I
Yeah.
like it. Well, guys, thanks for listening, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Oh, God.
God, I hate you.
Why are you the way you are, Jordan?